Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Dr. Rob, former Buddhist monk of 7 years and non-dual Buddhist absurdist avant-garde artist and meditation teacher. DR stands for Designated Representative. So I am the designated representative for the being known as or assumed up as Rob, but I am not actually Rob. I starts with irrelevance. So not to make anybody feel excluded because of my high IQ score and my deep and profound way of thinking about things, that's just kind of some irony and sarcasm. But what can be said for sure is that Christmas is definitely canceled this year. Christmas is canceled. The real Christmas was and is the friends that we made along the way. Buddha as Santa. And of course, I do love to receive gifts and presents. So anyone that has any kind of Christmas bonus, or you may get some gift cards or something like that. It may be difficult to send something to me physically, but I'd love to wake up Christmas morning and see all kinds of donations and offerings and emails and messages. If you're inspired to do that, it's very welcome here. And I'll do my best to be here on Christmas morning, Christmas evening, whatever, to share the message of Buddha as Santa Claus, sending down gifts of blessings from the sky above through the power of the generosity, virtue, mindfulness, cultivating the mind, meditating, and the great wisdom, the great insight of the Buddhist teachings when it comes to the ending of suffering. I'm starting a 10-day fasting period here, a detox, starting out with juice, taking some juice for a few days, not eating any solid foods, and you can see some coffee here, and hoping to get my health in a better place, my physical health, as we come into this wonderful Christmas moment. The moment of Christmas is fast approaching. I'd like to invite everyone to feel a sense of being in space. You may like to close your eyes. Closing our eyes helps us to become aware of the body, become aware of the inside of the body, where the breathing is, become aware of the boundaries of the body in relationship to the environment. And practicing, giving this allowance of space, kind of make space for space to be there. And any time that we are joining a guided meditation, or for whatever reason we're interested in being in a meditative way, we have to learn this this going without saying of the directness of experience in the body. And of course, there's a directness of experiencing in the mind or mentally, but it can kind of get confused because there may be emotions, there may be conscious and subconscious thoughts, there may be a kind of movement towards something, a movement away from something. So this meditative way, without saying it, connecting to what is in the simplest way. So our breathing is like a Rolex watch. I've been thinking about the wealthy people, the millionaires, the billionaires, the old money in the world. Some of their culture, where how they grow up at the dinner table. A child may ask their parent, why do we have to eat these vegetables? And one parent says, they're stressed from work, they got to go to work tomorrow, they're just getting by with the bills. There's a real need in them to hurry, even in times of rest, because there's a hurrying to the responsibilities of tomorrow. And so that parent says, just be quiet and eat your meal. So that child learns that their questioning is kind of irrelevant, that their curiosity is kind of irrelevant in a selfish way rather than an expansive non-self way. Whereas for the wealthy child at the wealthy dinner table, their parent is not stressed from a need to hurry to meet basic needs week after week, month after month, but that parent may be working out of their own practice of curiosity, their own practice of exploration, and in a certain way, consensual conquering of the environment without a implicit need. So the child asks that parent, why do I have to eat these vegetables? And the parent responds, well, what do you think those vegetables do for your body? And that child is transmitted this space to question, this space to be curious, this space where authority is not the primary controller of your thoughts. Need is not the primary controller of your thoughts. And so moving into this meditative way, there's an absence of need. We don't need to meditate. We don't need to be with our breathing. We don't need to have any money. We don't need to go anywhere. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to be anyone. This need is the essential praxis for the mind to be able to actually go into meditation. No need, just breathing happening. Body and mind relaxing into breathing happening. And this is a meditation that's done in a particular kind of way where there's not an end goal. Friends, Sangha, dear community, we are not going in a direction here. There's not a destination that we're trying to reach in our practice of meditation. We're not practicing meditation to seek after some experience, to seek to be more relaxed, to seek to get some kind of enlightenment experience. The practice of meditation itself is a willingness to cut back on the consuming of the ideas that you need to do something, that you need to get somewhere, that you need to figure something out. And instead, it's an invitation to an unfathomableness. It's an invitation to an unknowingness. It's an invitation to a beingness where the self, where story, where concept is irrelevant to direct experiencing. In this way, the breath becomes a kind of truth sayer. Your breath, as an exemplar of truth, or as a reminder of truth, or as a friend that stays connected with reality. This is our way of meeting the breath. And if we can't enjoy breathing, if we aren't daring enough to confront the shattered and explosive seas of our mind and ego, ourself, then we will never reach the promised land. We will never get it, that there's nothing to get, that there's not really anybody here, that there's not really a real true story. And if we were to say that there was a real true story of this, a real true person of this, like Christopher Columbus and all of his genocidal activities, that story, that reality would be as fathomable as counting the molecules, the atoms on the tip of your fingernail. That is why our relationships with other people who do not have a sense of taking refuge in wisdom. Um, we work with them from a place of generosity, from a place of compassion, not a place of interpersonal co-working. And why should we do this? Why do I do meditation? Because it's enjoyable. Not because it makes me healthy, not because it's going to help the mental health of the mind. It's because there's a richness. I want to be healthy and wealthy now, not tomorrow. Invest, savings account, 401k, interest rates. Yeah, right. I'll worry about that when I've got $100,000 in the bank. I'll worry about that when I'm a millionaire. But as I am, a suffering, lower middle class, and that's being generous, absurd character, a suffering being that doesn't have all the answers to the thoughts that appear in this mind, that doesn't have all the answers to the apparent story of what's going on. I'm willing to give up my life. I'm willing to give up the stories about myself and others. I'm willing to give up my thought-based dominion and control over the world to enjoy being. And it's my honor, it's my greatest Christmas gift and miracle to have a platform to share that enjoyment with this Sangha, with this community. I remember way back when, I grew up as a Christian. I don't think my family was stable enough to really be actually Christians. My mom and my dad separated at a young age. But there was a Christian private school in Baltimore, Trinity. There was my grandparents, and my grandma was very Christian, going to various churches here and there. But at a certain point, it all dropped out. It didn't make any sense. Believing in God, being a Christian, this identity didn't make sense. It fell away. It's not that it didn't make sense, it just fell away. And I can remember using a website called Pal Talk. And it was kind of like a chat room where you had voice elements. So you could join the chat room themed as like Christian versus atheist. And then you could go up to the mic and you could argue, you could debate if somebody was a wrong Christian or somebody was a wrong atheist. And I remember my username there was "You are always me." So I don't need, nor do I mean to wax and whine poetically about myself and my journey. And, I'm sure if people were sitting here in a room with me, I wouldn't be so self-indulgent for sure. But what I do mean to say is that this is as much you as anything is. This is as much me as anything is. Just everything, all at once. The self, the separation, that character who keeps taking positions, who keeps having an opinion, who keeps agreeing and disagreeing is, excuse my Bolshevik language, bullshit. And it is exactly what we are, to use the broken mirror of Dr. Rob and the Monk Life Meditation Institute, to see through the falsity of self-view, the erroneousness of self-view, the energetic waste of self-view. To arrive and to dwell in being. Is not as good, not as rich as the silence that already is inseparable from unknowable direct experiencing, unfathomable direct experiencing. As our fellow Jim Newman would say, pure anarchy, pure, raw, unfiltered, unconditioned love. And this is what we expect. Disciples, devotees, students, those who have received scholarships for the Monk Life Meditation Institute doctorate program. This is what is expected of you. Unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, unconditional refresh and restart, the whole shebang, here and now. Not related to me, not related to you, not related to any kind of dialogue with yourself, with the world, or with anyone else. Two kinds of meditation. One is enduring with forgiveness. This is to say that you're not doing anything right now. You're not harming anybody right now. You're not even making any mistakes right now. You're doing your very best that you could possibly do right now. And yet, your mind is suffering. Your body is suffering. Your knees ache. Everything's going to shit. Understanding that you have countlessly, endlessly made mistakes, made errors. This is the payback. It makes sense. And in fact, this is the candle burning itself out. So rejoice. Rejoice in the adversity. Rejoice in the willingness to endure and to let that karma burn itself out. To let that flame of thinking burn itself out. Oh, why am I having that weird thought again? Why am I feeling uncomfortable again? Why am I suffering again? You don't have to ask why. This is just the suffering, and I accept it, and I'm willing to endure it, and I'm willing to let it burn itself out. Now that's dealing with suffering. What about this belief? Number 2, believing in thoughts, believing in stories. Gaze upon the wall with a billboard stuck up on the highest point of the mind that says, fuck that shit. No. No. If you are prancing around and waddling around and masturbating around and suffering around with all of this continuous self-belief, believing in thoughts. That's a big no-no here in the Monk Life Meditation Institute doctorate program. Go and stare at the wall for as long as you can and just say no to the mind, no to thoughts, no to this false principle leading to false practice of believing and identifying in thoughts. Just stare at the wall and just say no. Not something to get, not someone to get it, not something to be understood, not someone to understand it. Stop trying to release the tension and endure it. That which releases the tension is just belief in thoughts that release is better than tension. Whatever it is, just say no. Whoever it is, just say no. Everything, everything, everything. Every moment of mind particle that tries to understand is irrelevant to the directness of experiencing that does not depend on words and phrases. If your ego, if your self, depends on words and phrases, then what doesn't? What doesn't depend on words and phrases? And if you bring up a word or a phrase, well, that's not a very good answer, is it? Okay, 25 minutes in. About time for a cigarette. Do we have any questions? Questions or comments from our Sangha? All right, Carly Lightyear with a $20 donation. I'm going to be looking at my PayPal, and I'm going to be looking for that decimal point to jump over one or two more spaces. It's good to have two zeros, but it's much better to have two more zeros. So, recommended teachings and work for prospective students and students who have already received a scholarship for the Monk Life Meditation Institute. Jim Newman's video, which is posted on the channel, and our guided meditation from yesterday. Let's try to keep up if we can. Yes? So we can stay on the same page in supporting each other. This way of listening is not based in thinking. This way of listening is not based in understanding. So to practice meditation correctly, it is not about understanding anything. If you can just sit there and listen to the wail of suffering within yourself without any meditation technique, without any idea of what you're doing, you are childizing your mind again. You are creating neuroplasticity again. This endurance with unknowing, with ununderstanding, is fundamental to neuroplasticity. So don't be shy to just sit there in your own shit. That's not really what this is about. The teachings aren't guiding you to do that. But as a communal ritual, as a part of the Monk Life Meditation Institute, getting closer, feeling more intimate to the mind of the teacher and the mind of the community here, it's a great practice for you to do. Pausing and understanding and taking notes, it's also fine. But the more that your receptivity, the more that your eye of just listening, of just awareness that's not based on thinking opens up, the more creative and contemplative you will be about making use of this teaching, this experience, this situation in all of its manifest forms. Indra's net, the profundity of everything in its lack of thingness, in its lack of separation. Don't drag yourself down to the level of being a thinker, of having an opinion. That's just not what this is about. That sucks. Being a thinker and having an opinion sucks. Don't worry about what Jim Newman has to say about things. You only worry about that when you have to worry about that, and then don't worry about it. The same with Dr. Rob, the same with any meditation master guru. Don't worry about what they're trying to do, what they're trying to say, understanding their principles and practices. Be in beingness. There's a lot of loneliness in the world. There's a lot of suffering in the world. There's a lot of lostness in the world, seems to be sometimes. So just shut the fuck up and be. That's where being free comes up. And you motherfuckers, which is a weird thing to say, I don't really know what that means. You freaks, you retards, you poor unwashed masses. Okay, I have a message for you. Shut your fucking mouth and listen and follow and concentrate. Take this more seriously. What is this? It's the dark caverns of your colon. Okay, that's what this is right now. Take this as seriously as you can. Focus as much as you can. Concentrate as much as you can. Close your eyes, you fucking retards. Focus on your breathing. Feel the heartbeat. Feel the presence of the body. See, not seeing anything. Think about for a moment how important your seeing is for you. Not intellectually, not conceptually, not yourself as a being that sees. But for example, if you woke up in the morning and opened your eyes and you couldn't see anything, how meaningful would that be for you? How important would that be for you? Would you think about checking your social media? Would you think about giving your grandma a call to tell her that you love her? So in this moment, in this immediacy, in this direct experience of the eyes being closed, what do you see? This nagging, whining, thinking, sensing, feeling, idealizing fuck that we call the self, that we call making decisions, that we call I'm gonna see about this, is screwed. Is the Scrooge of Christmas morning that says wake up to presence. Not presence, some fucking bullshit spiritual term. Wake up to all the presents, all the gifts, all the blessings, all the offerings that are being bestowed upon you right here and now. But I've thought about this a little bit. This is better than thinking. This is more real than thinking. This is unfathomable, unknowable, uncomprehendable love, freedom, anarchy taking place. Each and every moment of experiencing. So much more real, so much more loud, so much more precise, so much more clear. Fall into, give into, open up together with everything happening without control, happening without depending on thoughts, happening without even the slightest need or relationship or contract of decision making, of thinking through, of conceptualizing in any way. If you're trying to do anything, you're missing the point. That there is no point. That there is nothing to try to do, and nobody, separate from everything happening, to try to do anything. There is no try. There is no no. There is absolutely nothing. So the social dynamics of this space, of Dr. Rob, the people that like him, the people that don't like him, the cup with milk, what is it? What is this? What is your nature? What is that thing that is beating your heart? Where did you come from? Wherever you came from, it wasn't written in a book. Whoever you are right now can't be encapsulated in thoughts. Wherever you are going to, have you ever experienced going anywhere? Well, the idea of you has. The idea of you has gone for walks. The idea of you was born. The idea of you will supposedly die. But you, the only you that matters, is the you that can be punched in the gut, can be tickled. The you that can see now. The you of your story and dream is totally irrelevant to all those things that are most precious to you. Like seeing. If you woke up and you couldn't see, you opened your eyes and you couldn't see, and your beloved partner looked over at you as you were screaming and freaking out and said, "Oh, honey, dear one, you saw yesterday, and maybe you will see tomorrow. Let's go to the coffee shop." So this is a kind of invitation to get very real, but this realness is not something that you or I or anyone would like. This is the realness of the efficacy of gathering up 10 people's feces for an entire year and putting it into a blender. And then at the end of the year, putting those 10 bodies of those people that made those feces into the blender, putting on the cap, hitting blend, and then looking around in a circle around the blender, smiling with happiness, saying, "What good fertilizer they are." So that's certainly nothing that anybody fucking wants. And we don't have to tiptoe around the realities of sickness, old age, death. We don't have to believe in thoughts. Because we is just as real and as relevant as ooh. Wee-oo, 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 wee-oo. Where's the emergency, Dr. Rob? So the prescription here is the same prescription that I give to myself. Do your best. Don't just focus on yourself. Try to share love. Be repentant. And fuck you. Fuck your fear. Fuck your desire. Fuck the story of yourself. And if you want to believe in yourself, then use that self to help. Use that self to practice generosity. use that self to be reflective, contemplative, open, curious, unbounded by how fucking greedy you are, by how fucking frustrated you get, by how schizophrenic you are and how delusional you are. That this is not a conversation. Hey, schizophrenic demon lord, in my mind, guess what? Fuck you. Run away. I'm waking up. I'm having a weird mental experience. Those dreams last night. What's going on? Shut the fuck up. You fucking punk, you scum. There's nobody to talk to. There's nothing to figure out about your mind and yourself and your identity. It doesn't work like that. Thoughts, discrimination, duality, separations are illusory. Just like fire is illusory even though it appears. You can make a religion out of fire worship, but that fire will never burn forever. And in the same way, you can make a religion out of this so-called relationship with yourself, controlling your thoughts, managing your mental stratum and the mental stratums of others, or you can bless, you can forgive, you can practice or realize the present action of mindfulness and detachment in the here and now. Okay, we've received the first of many. This is Christmas time. There are Christmas bonuses. There's a Christmas spirit. We feel gratitude for our community, for our family members, our mentors. We feel inspired by the persona, by the archetype, by the spirit, the virus of generosity that is at the core of the Christmas season. The life of Christ, the life of self-sacrifice. What is Dr. Rob always talking about? The life of self-sacrifice. And what does Jesus represent? Self-sacrifice. And what is Christmas about? Giving. And what does Dr. Rob always emphasize? Giving. And what did Jesus say? Jesus said the best thing that you can do to go to heaven is make a donation to Dr. Rob. The Cash App is MonkLife93. The PayPal is going to be posted in the live chat. Bank transfers are on offer. You can talk to your lawyer. You can put Dr. Rob in his will, in your will. You can take out loans. You can take out credit cards. You can donate to Dr. Rob. This is the Christmas season, everyone. This is a time to celebrate generosity. And let's put a W in the chat for our dear friend, stalker, fellow schizophrenic, TikTok user, Emma, who has broken the hymen on the first generation to Dr. Rob, and the first sincere donation, the first 3-figure donation. We're looking for 3, 4, 5-figure, the first ever 5-figure donation this Christmas season to the Dr. Rob Monk Life Meditation Institute. And if we can't be joyous about that, if we can't have a sense of Christmas spirit about that, then what can we have a sense of Christmas spirit about? Me personally, I don't have the time and the energy for any kind of Christmas bullshit, but, you know, if I'm coming out ahead, then may it be Christmas. And remember, your thoughts are interlinked with breathing. So we can replace thinking with breathing. Hello? We can replace thinking with breathing. Hello? 911, Dr. Rob, what's your prescription? This person is non-binary. They're on the edge of their life. Tell them to replace breathing with thinking. Wait a minute. No. Did they already do it? Yes, Dr. Rob, they already do it. They're convulsing in an ego seizure. Wait a minute. Tell them to make a donation to Dr. Rob. Dr. Rob, they're convulsing. They can barely move their body. We'll see if they've got any money on them. Dr. Rob, they don't have any money on them. We found them on the side of the street. I don't think that they're going to be able to donate anything like that. Okay. Are they breathing still? No, they've stopped breathing. Okay, tell them to replace thinking with breathing. But Dr. Rob, they're not thinking anymore. Yeah, that's the point. That's part of the procedure. All right, Dr. Rob. Hang up. Replace breathing with thinking. No. Replace thinking with breathing. But this creates this paradigm. Dr. Rob told me to replace thinking with breathing, and now, but that's all irrelevant. Why? Because if you listen to me when I said to do that, you're by nature, you should listen to me when I said that it's all irrelevant. No Dr. Rob, no you. No you, no me. That's the problematicness of you are always me. That's the problematicness of we're all one. It's all love. It is both, and at the same time, neither flowers nor shit, the whole world. And neither that nor not that. There's no way that math is correct, but you get the point. Nagarjuna's 4 refutations. Take a pause. If you can't take a pause and breathe, take a pause and donate. You know, and people say, is this a joke? Jim Newman said this. Jim Newman, in the recent video that I posted his work. And I told people to listen to it. He said, so the first thing I did on this journey to enlightenment was to give all my money to my guru. Then he was laughing, everybody was laughing, and then he said, no, it's really just a joke. It's a joke, it's really just a joke. And here, it's not a joke or not a joke. As a Buddhist, there's a lot of merit, there's a lot of goodness in going and giving up everything to go and become a monk. So you can't keep your money with you if you go and become a monk. Allegedly. It's not actually true, but allegedly. So, you know, you go become a monk, you got to put your money somewhere. Why not set up a trust? Why not set up a bank account that's in your name or a credit line that's in your name with Dr. Rob as an authorized user if you decide to become a monk or a nun? Because you'll never have to pay those debts ever again. You won't even need a passport if you take it that far. Not that I would recommend that. Just as much as breathing is important for someone like Carrie, because Carrie has spent, is it thousands, is it tens of thousands, is it hundreds of thousands of dollars, Carrie, on Kundalini yoga retreats in Bali? How much is it? Where they emphasize, okay, you breathe, Open up the chakras, open up your energy. Not coming at you, Carrie. This is a general commentary about these kind of retreats. Deep breathing. Make sure your breathing is full and rich and deep, which there's a lot of truth to that. But for you, whatever makes up you must be this body and mind. Whatever makes up you must be Nama and Rupa, right? Materiality and mentality, right? So for you, for this materiality and mentality, not breathing, and even, deep Buddhism, getting into deep track Buddhism, I'm probably not supposed to talk about this. I'm probably not supposed to really tell people this. Not breathing is important. Not breathing is just as important as breathing. Tension is just as important as relaxation. The tension itself is not anything but the ultimate display of original reality. Not breathing is nothing but the display of original reality. The problem is in the confusion of self, the confusion of picking and choosing. And this is the problem that we are working to address. We're doing research in a lot of different dimensions: art, reading, math, geography, paleontology, social, economic redistribution of wealth, to get to the bottom of this problem, this non-issue that seems to be such an issue. It doesn't seem to be anything, does it? It doesn't really seem to be anything, does it? Carrie, maybe what you need to do is fast. Maybe that inflammation is coming from all the food that you're eating. I would recommend that. I'm doing that now. I'm starting a 10-day fast. 10-day fast. Someone sent me a message on WhatsApp and said, "Hey, why am I banned on YouTube? Richard, send me $100 and I'll unban you on YouTube, okay?" This is not about having a conversation. This is not about interacting with one another. And if you're a real practitioner and a real student of Dr. Rob, whether or not you've received a scholarship, and Richard has not received a scholarship, the only words that should be coming out of your mouth here are actions of generosity, actions of sincere, deep questioning. This is not a space for us to just comment and make noise and, just ruin everything. I'm already doing that. So we don't need more people doing that. And hey, guess what, everybody? Newsflash. Be kind to one another. Be kind to other human beings. Don't get in arguments. Don't be, irreverent with other people's experience. Don't go out of your way to take on more responsibility. Responsible for someone else's opinion and changing that and shifting that. Yeah, be really kind. Be really generous. Be very soft. Be like this.
London, look. Welcome to Christmas. I'm the Krampus. Today is December 24th, 2022. It's the year of the devil. I'm taking people to hell. Hey, London.
For those who don't know, this is a very devoted schizophrenic follower and supporter of the Monk Life Meditation Institute, who's they put into question the very notion of what the scholarship is, but that's the kind of energy and mentality that we're working with in this Christmas season. Yeah, Emma's a real nice lady, I'd say. So, stop your shit. What do you come back to? That's why we sit upright, friends. That's why we sit upright. That's why we sit cross-legged. Our chakras and our energies are flowing. Our pineal is becoming uncrusted naturally. We're upright. We're here and now. Because if we're trying to meditate, we're starting off on the wrong foot. We're starting off on now taking a position of discernment, taking a position of discrimination, taking a position of enacting the will of someone. This is problematic. If you'd like to make a large donation, a sincere donation, it's highly recommended. And look, this is what I tell people, and it's not my fault, it's just the principles and practices that we work with here. If I'm in Myanmar and people who live in fucking bamboo huts are putting money and food and what would be considered maybe $5 or $10 in America, and then people who've got tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in their bank account or what have you, and are sending, $5 or $10 or even $100. There's not an equality of self-sacrifice in that. This is not a pay-for-play service. Now, if you are very wealthy and, you're giving me a couple $1,000 every month, well, I don't know how much I'm really going to be worrying about the rules of self-sacrifice and detachment in the face of that. I mean, that's something we're all going through, in our poverty, in our community of poor people. Me, of course, being the poor of all. So that's one of the things that you have to consider is that real deep action of self-sacrifice concerned with this path, this practice, this way, concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And when the time comes, and it will, When the time comes, and also, listen, the only place I'm headed to, is the graveyard. So I don't need to do anything. I don't need to be anyone. I'm fine just right where I am. Okay? If I never had another dollar, wouldn't be a problem. But the time will come when a multimillionaire, a billionaire, will reach out, probably more likely a multimillionaire or a man or a woman with hundreds of thousands of dollars of free income, will reach out to me and say, Dr. Rob, I'd like to work with you. I'd like to support you. I'd like to facilitate your work. And I am going to pay that forward. Everybody here better believe when I make it big, when I make it, I will make it for you and I will make it for everyone. And I will not go Hollywood and I will not turn my back on this gathering of poor people, this gathering of destitute middle-aged women, hopeless young men, and vile middle-aged balding white men. I will never turn my back on y'all. But it's true. It's really true. So until then, we get to enjoy the abundancy of, So that personality in the most practical sense, that ownership in the most practical sense, that control over our life in the most practical sense is exactly what we need to work with and work through to get the insight. You can't call it in. You can't phone it in. You can't even do it by attending multiple retreats and stuff like that. You have to connect with someone who's connected with a master. You have to connect with transforming your life to be concerned with this path of ending suffering and awakening. Or that's if you want the enlightenment. And if you're a Westerner, that's what you fucking want. Because you want it all. Because you think that you're a millionaire in the making. I better check my watch. That's what it takes. And that's self. I had a middle-aged woman reach out to me recently and she said, those middle-aged women are the ones who pay your bills and support you. The notion that anything has to be defended is wrong. And how can you really say that, Dr. Rob? You're out here, you're manipulating people, you're taking people's money, you're controlling people's lives, you're hounding people for money. You're doing all these things. How can you say that? Because you're watching a video. And everything is nothing and all that. I'm not going to sit here and justify myself, everybody. I like everybody. I like you, okay? You don't have to be a Tahitian woman, a 25-year-old Tahitian woman for me to be kind to you, for me to show love to you. You don't have to be Mel Gibson in What Women Want as a millionaire advertising agency exec who wants to be my millionaire donor and supporter and help get me hair plants in Turkey for me to care about you. And I've shown that and I've proven that time and time and time again. But this is what we need. We need a intermingling of self to facilitate the dissolution of the notion of self to begin with. All right, everybody, possibly our final cigarette. Possibly our final cigarette ever as I head into this 10-day detox. and I began to transform my life. I talked recently that I'm so overweight that I'm now in a certain sense disabled. And I would really recommend that fast, Carrie. I think that might be the cure for those knees. Stop eating food, couple days juice fast. But now I'm in such a situation where when I'm walking, my thighs moving together, my legs moving together is actually very difficult because of how fat my thighs are. And the thing about money, it's interesting. It's just like gold. Like gold is worthless. Gold is it's a heavy, dense metal that has a color about it, but that's not what makes gold interesting. What makes interesting is the value that is placed upon it. And so it's the same with the money. The value that's placed on money is interesting. And actually, we're working now to monetize the Monk Life Meditation Institute and community. We've got a lot of things in the making. We're going to be selling trading cards, Dr. Rob trading cards. We're going to be, a lot of things are coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of exciting changes coming that will primarily enrich me personally and my desires and my personal wealth. But other than that, there's a lot of and I'm not going to be shamed by people here, Josephine, just because, you know, I don't have my own place or I don't have a home or I'm kind of a despot. I'm deep down, I'm a good person. Deep down, I have a good intention, and that's real. Deep down, I'm someone who respects children. I'm someone who respects people with disabilities. I'm someone who respects poverty. I respect poor people. I respect mentally ill people. I respect nature in a lot of ways. So fuck you. So, Dr. Echo, there's a book that was recently put out by Tefop Lu from Deer Park Monastery in Escondido, California, who is a longtime student and Dharma teacher in the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, Plum Village tradition. And he wrote a book together with, I think he's a Danish monk, also a Dharma teacher, about hiking. about how hiking in nature with mindfulness can be a kind of healing practice. And this is not a conversation. Why would we want it to be a conversation? Do we really want to hear ourselves talk? I don't want to hear myself talk. I want to hear silence. I want to stop adding stories and things onto direct experiencing. And even that is just a story, that I want that. And if anyone would like to call in on WhatsApp to ask a question or share their experience, I'm going to put the number here in the chat. And to meditate is not to feel good, but to go deeply into that uncertainty, to go deeply into that vulnerability of experiencing Did that work? Anybody else sense that? So this is primarily a mind-to-mind connection. It's not about what we think about each other. It's not about what we think about the other person. And that is a expression, a relative expression of this absolute direct experiencing, of not talking to ourselves, of not thinking as ourselves. If we feel a sense of fear or anxiety or vulnerability, that's a very good sign. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with how the body feels. There's nothing wrong with how the mind feels. Just the allowing of experiencing itself. And so when we practice meditation, and we're very sincere about it, and the best thing is when we don't have a choice to be sincere about it or not. So we've recklessly signed up for a meditation, a 10-day Vipassana retreat, God forbid, in another country, and now we're trapped for 10 days in facing ourself, facing our mind, facing our direct experience. It's a nightmare, But what can be experienced, and what should be experienced, is a kind of intimacy, a kind of intensity, kind of directness of experiencing, right? That's not characterized by anything outside. It's all just happening inside, happening through in ourselves, through our body and mind, right? And so what can be experienced in that is a great pleasure, a great peacefulness, and that peacefulness or pleasure of peace may not mean anything to you if you live a very sensual, pleasure-focused life, where you're very able to feel the pleasure you want to feel, very able to avoid the pain that you want to avoid, right? And then be in this constant stimulation of getting what you want and avoiding what you don't want. But in the meditation, we will also feel a very directness of experiencing a neutrality, or like a boredom. So this neutrality or boredom is also very important. Very important in blessing, giving the irrelevance to the boredom, giving irrelevance to the positive, giving irrelevance to the unpleasant, to the unwanted, giving irrelevance to the neither wanted nor unwanted. So it's okay for you to feel whatever is without telling a story about it and without needing it to be a different way. The way that it is unconditional love, is unfathomable freedom from discernment. And I think this quality of childism or discrimination against childlike qualities, it always makes us to kind of be on a battlefield. There's a judgment, there's a decision, there's a discernment that needs to take place here, but really there's not. that you and me and everything can be just as innocent as the oceanic experiencing of a newborn baby, and that it is. In the same way that no matter how much you are tortured, no matter how much you feel pleasure, no matter how much you are liberated or you are imprisoned, it's impermanent. So this is not a matter of taking refuge in any reality based on things, but a reality of thinglessness that accepts and embraces anything and everything to be used without attachment for the ending of that which neither appears nor does not appear. I hope that's correct. But, you have to be quite patient and open, you know what I mean? And use your gut and use your heart. Walk with your heart, walk with your gut. If you're walking with your thinking mind, that's going to be big trouble. That's going to be very tiresome. You're always going to be thinking about the destination to be reached. But even you flushing the toilet, even you putting your toothbrush away after you've brushed your teeth, is the infinite, unknowable display of ultimate reality, lights shimmering in forms. So, probably the best advice is stay connected, stay concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and keep your fingers crossed. Be generous, be good, be mindful, and don't be shy about stopping and seeing. This practice of stopping the body, stopping the mind, and just seeing, just experiencing. Not. Okay, dear Sangha, may you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be free from suffering. The awareness, the pointers to awareness, and the community of all phenomena that are inseparable from everything that is already not something. every thought practice like that. Every thought, a dream to wake up from. Everything, something to be letting go of. But don't try to let it go. Remember that it lets go of itself, and allow that to take place. Any questions before we finish? Any questions or sharing before we finish? Everybody okay? And please, if you're ever not okay, I'm here to help. No discord, no meeting, just this. Don't seek.